This is a bright side of the sky reflection for the astrology of March 9th to 15th of 2026. This week, Jupiter stations direct in the sign of Cancer. To me, this moment is about something specifically simple yet quite profound. The wisdom of our emotional experience is what lays the ground for a healthy ego. And that ego is actually what allows relationships to evolve in a very natural way. One thing I always want these reflections to do is help people trust the astrological chart instead of fear it. And that's because I truly think you're always bigger than the astrology. There is always a part of you that transcends the chart. Astrology isn't here to trap you in fate. Astrology is simply describing the process through which you expand your capacity to hold life. The good, the bad, and the messy, they're all part of the same equation. So, Jupiter is the planet of intuition and understanding that grows over time. When Jupiter turns retrograde, that understanding turns inwards. We reflect, revisit, and internalize what we've been learning. But when Jupiter stations direct, as it is this Tuesday, the energy starts moving outward again. And in Cancer, the Jupiterian wisdom is emotional. It's about where we've been learning what safety actually feels like. And for example, Jupiter is stationing actually just degrees away from my Sun and on my Mercury, which is in the fifth house of my chart. During this transit, I've returned in a really big way to my painting practice, which is actually something I've tried to quit many times. Not my painting, by the way. But every time I let myself paint out of joy and emotional resonance, which would be a combination of the fifth house and Cancer, I get pulled right back into it, and my life seems to start moving in very beautiful ways again. In my chart, my moon is also in Taurus, which means the Taurian element of what safety means. The sensory material part is actually very important to me. It's how I connect to that emotional energy. So for me, the wisdom of this transit has been in remembering that my creativity actually comes from my emotional connection to the material themselves. Okay, Cancer in the fifth house, ruled by a Taurus moon in the second house. So Cancer is often associated with what people call the ego, and that's from the context of evolutionary astrology. And I, as well as evolutionary astrology, see the ego as something really quite important. Your ego is your name and your history. It's your emotional experience. It's the lens through which you know your life happens. Without that lens, it's just diffuse light. So Cancer and the moon in your chart describe this subjective center of your life experience. It's really the place where we're feeling life fully. And Jupiter swimming in this part magnifies the wisdom that comes from living your life, your subjective emotional life fully. So a question for you right now is, where's your moon? Where is your moon in your natal chart? And what kind of emotional wisdom have you been building over the last several months? Because that moon is ruling wherever Cancer is in your chart, and Jupiter crossing through that exact area has been helping you to feel safe enough to really grow something of your own. So this week, we are also in what's called the last quarter phase of the lunar cycle that we are in. This phase, the last quarter phase, is about releasing the beliefs that initiated the previous cycle. The square this week happens between the sun in Pisces and the moon in Sagittarius. So there's a shift happening between what we thought we believed, Sagittarius, and what we actually have faith in now, in this present moment, which is the sun in Pisces. So some old stories really might loosen this week, not because they're wrong, but because it's time to outgrow them. At the same time this week, Venus and Mars are inching towards a new phase of their cycle to each other. That cycle began in early January, and so since early January until now, we've been exploring relationship impulses. That is the characteristic of the new phase, how we immediately move towards things and how we immediately receive things. This is a good week to notice a very specific direction emerging out of many varied experiences that might have happened since January. Now we're noticing a through line. Now we're noticing a pattern. It's subtle, but something about relationships, which includes your relationship to yourself. And I think that's very important given how much Aries energy we have happening. any relationship, something is about to really start to take shape. So overall, I'd say this week really feels like stepping into a new sense of home, not because everything is necessarily resolved, but because the self-wisdom that you have gained through the cultivation over the last several months of the retrograde period of Jupiter in Cancer is starting to feel self-evident, direct. And from that place, it feels much, much easier to move forward from faith. If you want to explore how this is showing up in your own unique chart, I offer 90-minute sessions now. So take a look at what I have available for this month of March if you are interested. The link is below.